Welcome to this explainer. Today we're zooming in on a topic where, honestly, the stakes literally could not be higher. We're talking about nuclear safety and emergency management. For all of us who just kind of expect the lights to turn on and hospitals to keep running, this stuff is absolutely crucial. We're going to look at the exact frameworks used to measure and manage risk in an industry where the margin for error is, well, it's pretty much zero. So our goal today is to understand exactly how corporate transparency and super rigorous standards actually work together to safeguard our power grid and, more importantly, human life and the environment. So, how do we measure safety when the stakes are absolute? Well, let's just acknowledge a massive reality of modern energy. Nuclear power? It's an incredibly reliable, super high-capacity energy source. It powers a huge chunk of our daily lives. But the potential risks mean it requires a level of caution that you just don't see in other types of power generation. It's not just about asking, hey, is this plant safe today? It's about how our utility company systematically proves and measures that safety every single day.
And the foundational text for our explainer points out a really stark truth. Nuclear accidents can have significant human health and environmental consequences because of their severity. Now, the industry actually has millions of hours of safe operation globally, which is amazing, and it makes major incidents incredibly rare. But when an infrequent, large-magnitude event does happen, the consequences are just devastating. An incident anywhere in the world sends shockwaves across the entire industry. It's the ultimate tail risk, a very low-probability event, but with a catastrophically high impact.
And beyond the unimaginable human and environmental toll, these tail risk incidents have absolute make-or-break consequences for the businesses running them. A single safety failure can completely wipe out a utility company's financial survival. We're talking about the immediate loss of their operating licenses, extreme legal liabilities that can easily blow past even the most extensive insurance protections. And in extreme cases, failing to comply with safety regs makes running the plant completely uneconomical. Literally overnight, multi-billion-dollar facilities can turn into entirely stranded assets. It's a massive financial cliff.
Which brings us to Section 1, Measuring Nuclear Vigilance. Let's look at how the electric utility industry explicitly tracks and quantifies this existential risk.
Crucially, when the industry tracks safety, they aren't just, staring at the reactor core. A nuclear power unit actually refers to the entire ecosystem of natural and engineered components, structures, and systems needed for electric power generation. It's the full operational footprint required to provide reasonable assurance that the facility operates without undue risk to public health and safety. It's the whole shebang, not just the glowing center.
And managing that massive ecosystem brings us to a highly specific sustainability metric for evaluating nuclear vigilance, SASB metric IFEU 540A.1. This standard requires electric utilities to rigorously track the total number of operational nuclear power units they own or operate. And here is the really key part. They have to break that number down by the results of their most recent independent safety reviews. It's a strict, quantitative headcount of safety validation.
Moving right along to Section 2, Independent Safety Reviews Explained. Let's see how these are actually conducted.
Because, let's be honest, a utility simply saying, hey, we're safe, is never going to cut it in this high-stakes environment. The review process has to be absolutely bulletproof. For a review to actually count under these reporting standards, it must be completely independent. That means the safety assessment is conducted by third parties who are not and actually have never been directly involved with the design or operation of that specific nuclear unit. To maintain total objectivity and strip out any operational bias, the assessors evaluating these facilities can't have any prior ties to them whatsoever. Zero.
And to maintain that bulletproof standard, companies have to disclose the outcomes of two very distinct types of independent reviews. First, they report on mandatory regulatory reviews from jurisdictional authorities, so the literal legal requirements just to operate. But second, they also have to disclose the results of collaborative industry peer reviews. This two-pronged approach is brilliant because it ensures a facility isn't just checking boxes and meeting the baseline letter of the law, but they're also measuring up to the highest operational standards recognized by their peers globally.
All right, Section 3, Preventing the Event Sequence. Let's look at what these reviews are actually trying to catch.
So what exactly are these independent safety reviews looking for? Well, they're scrutinizing the systems designed to prevent what the industry calls an event sequence. This always starts with an initiating event. Now, this could be something natural like extreme weather, or it could be human-induced. This event triggers a chain reaction within the facility's components, including system component failures. And crucially, those failures might be caused by the action or even the inaction of the operating staff. If this chain isn't broken, it potentially leads to the ultimate disaster, radiation exposure.
Measuring nuclear vigilance is really about verifying that a company has the robust emergency management and training required to break that chain immediately. Emergency preparedness systems are explicitly designed to identify, report, and interrupt event sequences before catastrophe strikes. The standard essentially asks companies to prove they have systems in place to avoid and manage emergencies that could have catastrophic impacts on human health, the community, and the environment. You gotta catch it at step 1 or 2, right?
This brings us to Section 4, building a safety culture. This is where the crucial human element comes in. Because think about it, the best engineered components and the most robust physical safeguards in the world mean absolutely nothing without the right personnel mindset. The reporting standard actually mandates that utilities discuss how they maintain a culture of nuclear safety, detailing really specific qualitative traits. Things like leadership safety values, personal accountability, and continuous learning, those are foundational. But 2 really stand out for me: an environment for raising concerns and a questioning attitude. In the nuclear sector, an employee feeling empowered to speak up about a minor anomaly or relentlessly questioning a slightly weird gauge reading are literal lifesavers. A respectful work environment isn't just corporate HR buzzword bingo here, it is a critical, hard safety mechanism. And to institutionalize this culture, utilities don't have to reinvent the wheel. They frequently adopt rigorous external frameworks. For example, they might implement the Institute of Nuclear Power Operations principles, or look to the International Atomic Energy Agency's best practices. By using these frameworks to guide the dissemination of operating experience, they ensure that a hard lesson learned at a plant on one side of the globe instantly improves the safety culture of a plant on the complete opposite side of the world.
So can rigorous corporate transparency and standardized metrics truly guarantee public safety in our most high-stakes industries? We've just seen how the electric utility industry uses strict definitions, mandatory independent reviews, and the cultivation of a deeply ingrained safety culture to manage existential risk. By meticulously tracking these operational units and the results of their safety reviews, companies give us a window into their true vigilance. But I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. As our global energy needs explode and the complexities of grid resiliency just keep increasing, is tracking these safety reviews and cultural traits enough to forever manage the awesome power and the inherent risk of the nuclear sector? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep questioning.